So the other day I was on Twitter and I saw this tweet. Not once, not twice, but 4 different times. So on the 4th time, my sensitive donkey, hasn't been 15 seconds yet, can't say the A word. Anyways, after seeing this 4 times, I was like, yo, I want to talk about this. So Chris Brown delivers a great and logical take when he says, and I'm paraphrasing, y'all give me shit to this day for a bad decision I made when I was 17 years old, but y'all praise Blueface and Chrisean Rock. And yeah, that's the end quote. And at face value, he's 100% correct, right? But seeing YouTubers and content creators feed into this is kind of stupid. Y'all remember that wave of YouTubers who would begin their videos with X% of you guys that watch my videos aren't subscribed. Make sure you hit that sub button to make sure blah 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 blah. You know, and some people still do that to this day. Well, that percentage of viewers who aren't subscribed, especially the reoccurring ones, are your new audience. They're new people. They're people that are just discovering you, right? Blueface and Chrisean's relationship reaches millions of people every day, probably even tens of millions. And a majority of people keep scrolling because they couldn't care less. A large amount of people condemn their behavior and find it irrational, stupid, reckless, and every other synonym for dumb. And there's a percent of people who support it. And my thing is, of us who think Chrisean and Blueface's relationship is dumb and abusive and we believe they should break up, this is when the stove analogy comes into play. You would probably warn someone once or twice before they touch a stove, right? But after a while, you're just gonna watch them be stupid. And to double back on what I said earlier about the relationship reaching millions of people every day, it's a numbers game. You know, you can say the dumbest shit imaginable, but if you reach enough people, someone is gonna believe it. If I say something stupid like Justin Timberlake is a lycanthrope, many of you are educated enough to realize that is scientifically impossible. But 1% or more of y'all are naive, uneducated, or stupid enough to believe it. And admittedly, 1% isn't a lot. In fact, it's an overwhelming minority. But if I said this to 10 million people, 1% of 10 million is 100,000 people. But enough rehashing. Chris Brown is very naive and a little ignorant here. Chris has been famous for a very long time. I was in elementary school when I first heard of him, and he was famous then. And yes, he committed a terrible act, but he doesn't understand that, well, he's famous. A lot of people know about him and what he did, and there are a lot of people in the United States who are very sensitive to what he did, and I'm pretty sure he's an international superstar. So many people across the world are very sensitive to what he did and will hold it against him for the rest of his life or the rest of their lives. But when you jump, cry, and throw a tantrum over these people, you're ignoring the overwhelming amount of people who literally do not care. Even most of the people who crack jokes about it don't care. They're just using you as a reference to get laughs. It's not personal. For example, if for some odd reason I'm at a store and I see Chris Brown, my first thought isn't going to be, wow, Chris Brown really beat that bitch. Sorry for whoever it was. I can't remember who it was. No, it's not going to be that. It's going to be, oh shit, is that really Chris Brown? What the fuck is he doing here? Right? But the majority of people don't care. A lot of people are going to think that same way. And it wasn't earlier in the year he was doing like concerts or whatever, and he had fans like taking pictures of him and trying to rub all up on him and things of that nature. It was like you're just gonna ignore all this. Anyways, most people don't care. They keep scrolling. But in fact, you give it more publicity. If 200 people are trolling you about something, screaming it out to your platform of millions of people and millions more via shares or recommendation that, hey man, this bothers me. Why do y'all keep bringing it up? You're just adding fuel to the fire. So, in conclusion, Chris Brown made a great point, and it's a phenomenal take at face value. But this rant he went on is very naive, and I believe it does more harm than good to himself. So yeah, that's the end of the script. We'll wrap it up here. Little unfiltered thoughts and things of that nature. I didn't really go too in deep of it because I would be repeating something I said in a video I made specifically about Blueface and Chrisean Rock. But yeah, he's not wrong here, and a lot of people will take his side and get up in arms with it, and I actually think it's good and bad. I think it's good that he said this because it makes a lot of people like think about it, you know what I mean? Because there are a lot of people who support Chrisean Rock and Blueface that are, it's kind of like, you ever hear somebody condemn something, but when their friend or family member does it, they just kind of let it slide, kind of thing, right? We all know somebody like that. I used to live with somebody who was hugely against dating underage girls, but then his friend who was 18, 19 started dating a 15-year-old and inviting her over and things of that nature, and he didn't say anything to that guy. So I mean, we've all had those kind of dudes, right? So yeah, I just think it's odd. I think it's naive. Now, for Chris Brown to say something like this is, I mean, he's a rapper. I mean, I don't know Chris Brown. None of us do, but he's not diving into statistics and things of that nature. So I wouldn't expect him to know. But a lot of YouTubers, like, they look at their analytics. They understand the ratio thing, to where a majority of people that see your tweet / video or song aren't gonna react to it, right? Twitter introduced views, and a lot of people hated it, but it actually helps you see this, that when you see a tweet with 100,000 likes, it was actually seen by like 2-3 million people, and a majority of them didn't say, just kept scrolling, right? So that's kind of what it is with Chris Brown. Like, I'm pretty sure there's a large amount of people that know of Chris Brown or even listens to his music that has no idea that he even committed such an act, because the majority of us don't care. And by doing that, now you just introduce those people who had no idea, forgotten, or things of that nature into doing it. To be honest, I forgot Chris Brown assaulted a lady, right? I forgot he did that, but he just brought it up. Now I'm like, okay. Unfortunately, there are some people, again, super sensitive to it, that will hate him for that now and start going on crusades against him. Personally, me, I'm like, bro, I don't care. Why would you do this? But yeah, it is super naive for him to get all butthurt by the minority of people who really support Blueface and Chris Sean, and now he goes on this rant, because it is a very small percent of their fan base that actually thinks that Blueface and Chris Sean are a good thing. A majority of people are just getting recommended it and just watching it, or just keep scrolling, and they're just entertainment to most people. But anyways, that's gonna do it for this one. Let me know how you feel about it in the comments. Chris Brown is hurt, and I'm not gonna lie, he has 100% right to be hurt. I honestly believe with my sensitive ass, I would be hurt too. So yeah, until we meet in the next video in the comments, remember, envy no man, because we know we up next. Sponsored by Atari, and
join will be hopping. The octopus said the same thing to Yoshi. It's about being patient, taking your moment. So snap out of it. You can't let a couple of losses blow you off course. You don't have to win now, just someday. Slow and steady wins the race, right? Well, it kills the octopus.